Hi everyone, we're back again with another Delightfully Dark Discussions. I am Priestess Alana and I'm here with Priestess ᴜɪ̈ᴏᴜ.
Hello.
Today's topic is going to be on demon callings, but I think first we're going to answer some questions.
Yes,
and
there is something I do have to say, and it is in regards to last week's video on incubi and succubi. I made a generalized statement. I said that Native Americans work with totem animals, and this was a very generalized statement and it was very wrong. And I would like to appreciate two members of our community who called me out on this and educated me and shared with me the truth of the matter. The fact of the matter is every single Native tribe is different. Some Native Americans work with animal spirits, some don't. And also I misused the word totem. It is actually one of the tribe's word for clan. So not only did I generalize Native American and indigenous groups, I also misused the word totem. So I apologize for that. A lot of generalities are made towards Native Americans and indigenous tribes when really they are each distinct cultures, and they are each distinct and beautiful cultures with their own customs and practices. And I encourage everybody who wants to learn more about Native American culture and indigenous tribes to go directly to the source, to go learn from the tribes, learn from the elders, read up on them, ask questions, educate yourselves, and don't make generalized statements, because it completely negates the diversity and complexity of the indigenous cultures out there. So again, I'm very sorry for that. All right, and we do have some questions that people want answered. So thank you so much for those of you who left questions. The first question is, what exactly is the spiritual foundation work? How do I work on my spiritual foundation? Are there any courses or ways I can start to strengthen my spiritual foundation? Any advice would be appreciated. This is a great question.
could do a whole video
We
on
could
that.
do a whole video
probably
on that.
should.
Yes, we should do a whole video on that. So we will do a whole video on the spiritual foundation, but we will cover the basis of it today.
Well, maybe we could just do like links to what we have below and
Yes.
tell you that we are going to do a video on this entirely,
Yes.
because this is a very deep and vast topic, and I don't think it's something that will get like the respect that it deserves. Just
No.
answer this quickly as like a short question,
Yes.
because there's a lot of layers to it and it's very important.
The spiritual foundation, though, is basically, it is your ability to control and define what comes into your space. It is your shields, your wards, your ability to cleanse yourself, your ability to ground, and also your ability to banish what is unwanted in your space. So the spiritual foundation is basically building up your spiritual skills and abilities to the point that you are confident in interacting with spirits in a way where you can keep yourself and your loved ones safe. So we will be doing an entire video on that, and we are actually in the process of building a course on it. And we do have little booklets written to help you begin to develop your spiritual foundation. So we will be including those links below. Yes. So that's where you can find that. But that's a great question. Spiritual foundation is so important. It is so important on any spiritual path. Basically, if you are interacting with the spiritual world, you have to know how to guard your space. You have to know how to shield yourself. You have to know how to cleanse your being, and you have to know how to ground after any ritual. So the spiritual foundation is the skills and tools that you have when interacting with the spiritual world that keep you safe. Yes. So somebody asked if Lilith is the mother of all succubi. From our experience and our work in the outer spiritual world, no. But from a mythological perspective and different experiences that people have here, yes. Different people are going to have different experiences. Different people are going to have different experiences. I can't say that word. Different people are going to have different experiences with different spiritual beings. And mythologically speaking, Lilith is considered the mother of all succubi from this world's perspective. Although beyond this world and beyond this universe, there are different layers, different aspects, different mythologies, and different beings that can all share the same name that you work with. We actually do have an article written up on our website. I will link it also below. But yes, in some perspectives, yes, she is. All right. Is it possible to work with Barghest the Black Dog or Hell Dogs? Does anyone have any experiences with him? I don't personally have any experiences with him. I do have personal experiences working with black dogs and dogs who bring omens, dogs who bring warnings, dogs who in dreams show up to kind of give warning and give insights into what's going on in the future. But absolutely, if you feel called to working with him, you definitely can. You definitely can. I recommend setting up an altar, reaching out and connecting, and seeing where the connection goes, seeing if it's something you want to pursue. Remember, even if you're called to work with a specific being, even if you want to, you don't have to follow through with it. You don't have to commit yourself to it.
Ultimately, it depends on what you want, whether or not you want to work with them. And we'll probably be getting more into this in this topic since we're going to be discussing callings today.
Yes, we
so
are.
This is actually a great question.
It is. It's a perfect question. All right, we have more questions. Is there some time for one's energy body to need adjusting to succubi? The reason I ask is that I have called them before, and when they approach my sleeping body, many times I've gotten an uncontrollable feeling as they get near, that feeling like they are shocking me, and I can feel my body move away from them. I can't help it. My body just reacts like that, and I feel bad for pulling away. One succubi even slapped me in the past when I pulled away. The weird thing is that I have woken up in my astral body to have Lilith, Nama, and Agrat holding me at different times. I have never felt any resistance like that then. Do you know what's going on, or have you ever heard of this? Yes, oftentimes you do need to have a period where you attune yourself or where you adjust to the energies of another spiritual being. We actually do have an attunement ritual, which is you focusing on their energy, focusing on connecting with them, and allowing your body to become climatized to them, allowing your body to become climatized to their energies. Sometimes spiritual beings' energies are overwhelming. They're intense. We're not used to them. We're not attuned to them. There's many different reasons why you could be having a reaction to their energy. An attunement ritual, though, or working to attune yourself to their energies, is the best way to resolve that. And it can take time. Some people find that they are just naturally attuned to specific entities. Some people, it can take years. It all depends on where you are energetically and your individual connection to them.
One other thing I just want to add to this is if things are showing up and slapping you, feel free to banish them, because unless you're into being slapped, then that's okay. But if things are like attacking you or hurting you or violating your space, you should banish them. Yes,
exactly. That's another thing. Just because it's a spiritual being doesn't give it the right to, come into your space and hurt you and slap you and stuff. You have spiritual authority. You have a right to define your space. You have a right to define what's going on in your space. And if something is disrespecting you or physically assaulting you, you have every right to remove it from your space. Yes. Banishing, part of the spiritual foundation. Very important. Very important.
Okay, so that was the last question. So
thank you so much for your questions. If you have a question you'd like us to answer, please drop it in the comment section below. We do read the comments, and we are going to be answering questions at the beginning of every Delightfully Dark discussion. So please, we'd love to hear from you, and we'd love to receive your questions. And if you love our work, want to support our channel, please consider subscribing to us. We'd love to have you. We'd love to have you on this journey with us, and your support means the world to us. So thank you so much, everybody, again. And now, today, we are going to talk about experiencing callings to demons and demon companions.
Yes.
So we get asked this question an awful lot. What is a calling? How do I know I'm called? How do I know a demon wants to work with me? How do I know that this is the right path for me? How do I know that this is the right choice? The first thing that I always say to people is, you know yourself best. This is your journey. This is your path. This is your energy. If you feel a calling, if you feel a connection, if you feel a pull towards something, you should explore it. You should explore it and what that calling means to you, what that entity means to you, what that deity means to you, what that spiritual being means to you. Many, many times people are like, oh, well, I don't think I'm worthy, or I don't think that I'm good enough. That is one of the biggest problems with this world right now, is the lack of self-worth that we have towards ourselves, feeling like we're not good enough, we're not worthy enough. And lack of worth, I mean, especially when it comes to a spiritual perspective and a deity perspective, you are worthy. You are absolutely worthy. Don't hold yourself back. Don't sell yourself short like that. you are worthy, and whatever spiritual path is calling to you, that is your path. And by holding yourself back, you're doing yourself a disservice. You are not honoring yourself and your journey. And by feeling like you're not worthy, you are preventing yourself from possibly exploring something that could be so meaningful and life-changing. If you feel a connection, if you feel called, explore it, go for it, pursue it, and see where it goes.
Yes. And when you are thinking about honoring a calling, I think we should also talk about what a calling looks like.
Oh, yes, definitely.
And there's a lot of layers to this, but one thing to do is to educate yourself, read as much as you can before you take certain steps, especially working with demons. Make sure you know what you're connecting with and that this is something you want to do. And also eliminate fear. There is so much fear that is told to us in this world, especially around demons, darker energies, things like that. Do not approach this path or working with demons from a place of fear. It will end badly for you. You will have an absolutely terrible time. So get rid of your fear, educate yourself if you decide to honor your callings. And we probably should get into, what does a calling look like?
Yes.
How do I know I'm having a calling? Or, you know, is this what's going on in my life? We have people ask us all the time. They're like, this happened or this happened, and I think I'm being called. Really what it matters is like how you feel about it.
Yes.
So if you feel like you're being called, you very well might be.
So how a calling has looked to me is I start obsessing about things. My mind is very obsessive, especially when it is drawn to a certain energy. Now people can be like, oh, you just have, obsessive compulsive disorder, which is probably true. I do have a form of OCD. It does run in my family, but obsession is not a bad thing. Obsession can actually be a very good thing. Obsession can be used for manifestation, and obsession, if you're obsessed about something, there's a reason behind that. This is part of this whole scope of we're taught to doubt ourselves and taught to doubt, what's coming up inside ourselves. If you're obsessed with something, it means that there is something about that is calling to you. It's something about that energy that is pulling you in, that is drawing you towards it. So for me anyway, like when I was younger, I was obsessed with it. This was before the internet. Wow, I just dated myself there, didn't I?
It's okay.
I was alive before the internet. I remember when the internet came in.
Some people are not alive now before the internet.
Yes, I remember dial-up too. Remember that sound?
Oh yeah.
Yes.
I'm glad that's over with.
Yeah, someone would pick up the phone and then the internet would be dead.
Oh yeah, that was terrible.
No, mother, please, no. It was so close. Why? Yeah, that sort of thing. So this was before the internet, and even before I really had books. Anytime I heard the name Satan, I would feel something. I would feel like, oh, that name, it's so beautiful. That name, it's so profound. It's so amazing. And I wanted to know more about that name. I wanted to understand more about it. I wanted to learn about it. So anytime I heard, I was like, Satan, 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 Satan. And I tried to, find things out. And obviously, like the only source back then was the Bible, which was funny. Or my stepdad, who was very informative and very helpful because he was very anti-religious. So he was more than happy to explain things to me from a anti-religious level, which was fantastic because he very much was, there was no shame to it. There was no, oh, Satan's an evil and all that. He was very just, oh, this. But I kept seeking it out, and I kept seeking out, and I wanted to learn about demons, and I wanted to learn about darkness. And it was this calling that was in my soul. It was this insatiable desire to learn more. And if you find yourself attracted to a name of a demon like Marbus or Baal or Belial or Marcosius, follow it. Why are you obsessed with that name? What does that name mean to you? What do you feel towards the energies of that name? What is coming up in you? It means that there is something happening within you. Your body is energetically responding to the energies of that name, which means that there's a familiarity there. There is something there, something for you to learn, something for you to explore. So if you find yourself obsessing about a demon, obsessing about an entity, pursue it, go for it. Learn everything you can, read information. Also, one thing though about reading information, if certain information doesn't resonate with you, don't feel like you have to adopt everything. We have said There are different layers of the spiritual world. There are different layers, there are different beings, and different people connect to different layers. We're actually going to be talking more about the different layers, because there is like the spiritual world, the universal spiritual world, which is right next to us. There's the qliphothic realms. There is the inner spiritual world. There's the outer spiritual world. There's all these different layers, and different demons of the same name can exist within these different layers. So you might not be connecting to the same Belial as another person, which explains the discrepancies between them. So don't feel like your experiences are wrong just because they are different, or don't feel like you don't have a calling to Belial because something you've read about him doesn't align with what you've experienced. A lot of spirituality is about learning to trust yourself and learning to trust your own individual connection to the spiritual world. I've always said the spiritual world is big enough for everybody, and these different layers, we're going to connect to the one that is right for us. You're going to connect to the one that is right for you. So if you read something that doesn't sound anything like it, doesn't align with you, doesn't resonate with you, it doesn't mean you don't have a calling. It just might mean that that person is connecting to a Belial that you are not connecting to. So you continuing to explore your calling, continuing to explore your individual connection to Belial, it will help you understand not only your energetic resonance with him, but also the level that you are working with him.
Yes. So in some cases, you know, you may see something that you really feels completely wrong. Trust your feeling.
Mm-hmm.
You know, different people have different experiences. They're like, you know, you can put 100 people in a room and show them the same movie or same film clip, and they'll all get different things out of it.
Mm-hmm.
So they could also be seeing it from like a different perspective than yours.
Yes.
But it's getting to the point where you don't just think, well, this person's right. And, you know, it's like trusting yourself and
Mm-hmm.
realizing your value, your worth, and your
Yes.
experience, and reconnecting to that part of yourself as well, so that you can have your experiences. And like, you will probably end up in communities, because I hear this all the time too, that people are like, well, your experience is wrong and you can only connect this way, you can only do that. Just get away from those people and to listen to them. Do what is right for you.
Mm-hmm.
That's the most important thing. You know, you'll read things in books, and like books come with a certain level of authority, but I don't agree with everything that's written in books. So
yes, I've thrown books at walls for things that they've written.
Yeah, where people will say, oh, well, it's hundreds of years old, so clearly it's right. It's like, no, clearly it's not right. It's not working for me. I don't have to do what they did like 200 years ago. Like, how does this even factor into modern life? Sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes it's complete crap. And some people wrote things that were just to mislead people so they could hide the knowledge for themselves. Like,
yes,
come into it with an awareness that you could be reading like a bunch of garbage.
Yes.
So use your discernment. And if you don't have any discernment, start training it.
Yes.
That will really serve you well.
Yeah, no, when with books and things, if something doesn't resonate with you, if something doesn't align with you, especially when it comes to spirituality, don't feel like you have to do it. Don't feel like you have to do anything you don't want to do, especially, yeah, what you said. If people are like, oh, if you don't do this, you're fake. If you don't work with demons like this, you're wrong. It's like, all right, fine. Because I don't work with demons the same way you work with demons. I'm the wrong one. All right, fine.
Yeah,
that's fine. I get that all the time.
Yeah.
It's great.
I don't know why everybody wants everything to be like this perfect cookie cutter conformity thing, but it doesn't have to be. So
no, the diversity of the spiritual world is what makes it fun. It's what makes it exciting. It is layered, it's beautiful, it's profound. I mean, we've got to stop generalizing things, myself included, who, you know, generalize things. And
I think it's just part of human nature. There's oversights, and sometimes we say things without thinking, but
yes,
yeah.
But it's education. It's also stepping back and saying, hey, you know, maybe my experience with this is different than this person's experience, so maybe I should just listen instead of, you know, forcing things on them. And it's so funny because this is part of the reason why I started talking about the different layers of the spiritual world, because everybody's like, when I started talking about the outer spiritual world, a lot of people were like, oh, it's fake, you made it up, you did this, you know, it's just fake. It's like, no, it is not fake. It is to define different levels of experience to show that there are different layers of experience. And this explains why my layers of experience, my teachings with the demons are different, because I'm connecting from this layer. Other people might be connecting from other layers. And this is all okay. This is all wonderful. This is all amazing. So I find it so funny are people that are like, oh, well, it's completely wrong. Demons are only from the infernal. It's like, okay, that's your belief. That's your view. That's wonderful. That means that that's the level that you are connecting with. You are connecting with demons who solely exist in the infernal. That's beautiful. It doesn't mean the other stuff doesn't exist. Nobody has authority to define the entire structure of the spiritual world. And those that do.
I said, or the time, it's so vast.
Oh, I know. It's so vast. It's so big. It's so gigantic. And it's absolutely amazing. The things that we teach are from the levels of experience that we understand, the levels of experience that we connect to, and we teach people to connect with those. So those who are drawn to those levels of experience can connect to them. So those who are drawn to those levels of experience, know how to find their way to that. But there are so many other ways to work with demons. There's not just one path for all. There's not just one, this is it. The sacred path of demons right here. This is the only path, and nobody else can walk anything else. No, all other methods are wrong. Burn all the books. This is the only way.
Yes. So while you are exploring your calling and educating yourself, be aware that there are different ways to work with demons, and you should find one that works with you. And
don't let people tell you that your way is wrong. If you're not getting results, then you can ask others for their input.
No, go ahead. I was like really excited about that because I'm like, yes, if you're getting results, why would you listen to somebody else telling you, well, you're not getting results? If you are, who the hell is that person to tell you you're not doing it right if you're getting results?
Exactly. If you are getting results on your path, how you're working with demons is right. If you're not getting results, then talking to others and, seeing their perspective, seeing what works for them, or even, if you just want to find different ways to improve, seeing what works for them can help. But it's not negating where you are. It's not negating what you're getting. And also, if you're getting results, like, why are you going to listen to people, especially people who don't get the results you get?
Yes. So back to callings, because we're so far off topic.
Me off topic? Never.
So with callings, there are different types of callings. I mean, you might see the demon's name, you might read the name and then feel something and have like an intense feeling. You may have a dream about them, you might hear their voice, you might see a sigil or some kind of symbol. You might see things like repeating that remind you of them. In the case of like demon companions, if you read information on them and feel like this really strong emotional feeling, that's like a calling at a deep level. It just hits you really hard. You may be called to that one, or they may remind you of somebody else that you should work with or will be working with. And another thing to add to this is you do not have to honor every calling that you have.
No, you do not.
I had a deity step forward to me like a few months ago, and it was right as I was finishing up an underworld journey, and they were an underworld deity, and I was kind of surprised because it wasn't one I would have worked with. It was not a demon, and I actually had a reading done from somebody who doesn't know me at all, has no idea who I am, and they also said that the deity wanted to work with me, and I ended up not following that because I just did not want to do more underworld stuff. I was like, I'm kind of done with this, so sometimes you will get reached out to, but you don't have to do it. Like, I just didn't want to go back into the underworld. I was like, no, I'm not ready to ascend now.
Your life here is your life, and it is your journey here, and you have a choice of who you work with, and you do not have to answer all callings. You can have connections from deities from past lives. You could have honored them in past lives, and it might just be memories from that. It might be memories from that time, and it might be completely irrelevant to your life now. It might not be something you want to pursue, and that is completely okay. You have to honor what's right for you. The biggest thing about spirituality, I think, is learning to trust yourself, learning to trust your intuition, learning to trust what is right for you. And if you feel a call to a specific deity, if you feel a call, but you don't feel right about it, you don't really want to do it, you in no way, shape, or form have to honor that. You are under no obligation. You are under no contract. You can politely decline and be like, thank you so much. I'm not in a place right now where I'm ready to walk this path with you.
Yeah, and that's another thing. Sometimes people will reach out to you and be like, well, this one wants to work with you. And it's like, yeah, you at some point have to probably take a step back and be like, do I want to work with them? Like, do you have the time? Do you really want to do that type of work? I don't know if people sometimes feel obligated to do things just because they're like, oh, this deity reached out to me, or this god, or this demon, or whatever. And it's like, you really don't have to follow every path that's presented to you. You should decide what you want and then proceed from there.
Exactly. And you, at the end of the day, spirituality and callings is about getting in touch with you, what you want, where your energies are directed. Even the whole notion of a calling is learning to trust yourself. It's learning to trust what you're getting. It's learning to trust what you're feeling. And it's learning to trust your own individual essence. When you begin any spiritual path, learning to trust yourself, learning to trust what you're getting, learning to trust your own intuition is most important. And that comes down to callings too. So when people say, I feel called to work with this demon, I feel called to work with this entity, am I worthy to work with them? It's like, of course you are. You're feeling this connection. You're feeling this energy. The spiritual world, spiritual beings are there to help us. They are there to help us. They are there to guide us. Yes, they are going to ask things of you. Mammon, case in point. Oy. But you're going to love it. You're going to feel accomplished. You're going to see improvements in your life, and it's going to be an amazing journey for you. So when you feel that, don't feel like you're not worthy. That's your lack of confidence talking. That is the world telling you that you're not worthy. That is the world telling you that you're not good enough. And that is completely wrong. It's completely wrong. Of course you're good enough. Of course you're worthy enough. Why is it that we tell so many children, you can be an astronaut, you can be a doctor, you can be a lawyer, you can be anything you want. And then when they become a teenager, it's, well, you're not smart enough. You're not good enough. You're not skilled enough. Your math skills aren't strong enough. My brother, when he was in high school, he did not have math skills at all. He would get C's in all his classes. And now he is an A+ honors math student in university. So don't let anybody tell you that you can't do something. Don't let anybody tell you that you can't achieve what you want to achieve. You just have to find a way to make it happen. You just have to be willing to trust yourself, trust your intuition, trust what you're getting, and go towards your goals. And it's the same with calling. If you feel a calling to a specific deity, don't think that they don't want to work with you. Don't think that you're not worthy enough to connect with them. You are. You are absolutely worthy to connect with them. You are absolutely worthy to walk this path. You are absolutely worthy to receive guidance, wisdom, and inspiration from the spiritual world. That's what the spiritual world is here for. It is here to help you so that you find that guidance and that empowerment, and so that you are able to move forward in your life, manifesting what you want and desire. It is all part of it. The spiritual world, our connection to the spiritual world is so important, and it is a part of this journey here. And whatever path you are on, whatever culture you are from, whatever journey you are called to walk, that is the journey that is right for you. That is the connection that you have to the spiritual world. And it is something that is worth exploring. It is something that is worth opening up to. I do recommend, though, any path that you are on, read up on it, learn about it, educate yourself, understand it, learn the history of it, learn about the path that you are called to, learn about the path that you are walking, and learn about your connection to it. Education is so important. And if you feel a calling to work with a specific demon, read up on that demon, educate yourself, learn about them, learn about your connection to them, and trust what you get.
Yeah, the other thing is, if you're not sure if one is reaching out to you to work with you, you can also ask them directly. You can ask them to give you a sign or to communicate something to you, to lead you to resources that will help you connect with them, or something along the lines of that. Just for confirmation. I've done this before too. Like I think I said just before, one of the underworld deities that reached out to me, I was like, I don't know if this is actually like what I think it is. And then I got a blind reading from somebody and they said the same thing, and I was like, in that case I didn't do it because I just was like done with underworld journeys at that point. But yeah, ask for, I also would be careful when you do readings. Just be aware of who you're getting the reading from and what you tell them to begin with, because if you say things, sometimes that'll influence what they will come back with as a reader. So I mean, I like it completely blind, but yeah.
Yeah.
It's up to you what works for you.
Yeah. It's really interesting to see what different people pick up on.
Yeah.
It's really amazing, actually.
Yeah.
Yes. But do be careful what people say. And if something doesn't feel right, you don't have to follow it. It is not set in stone. And if somebody tells you that you need to donate your house to them, run.
Who the hell says that?
There are people out there.
This deity wants to work with you, now give me your house.
Basically, that's a scam.
Oh, yes.
And people do that, but people do it in the form of, oh, you're cursed, you're absolutely cursed. So give me $5,000 to remove the curse. Yeah.
Anybody tells you you're cursed and you have to give them $10,000 or $5,000 to get you uncursed, don't do it.
Yeah, just go get a Reiki treatment.
Yeah.
And a lot of cursing, like a lot of curses, there's definitely real curses out there, but unfortunately one of the main things that makes a curse work is telling somebody that they're cursed, because then the fear kicks in and you start being afraid, you start worrying, you start being concerned, and that builds those energies. It builds those energies, and you start to have bad luck, you start to have bad things happen to you, and then people are like, oh, I'm cursed, it's the curse, and it builds the momentum of that, so it becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy.
Yeah, it's like you're manifesting negative things because you believe it, so your energy is going there, and you are there with yourself all the time, so you start directing the energy around you.
Yeah, so if you're completely, you're going about your life, everything's going well, it's not perfect obviously, but everything's going well, and you get a reading and somebody's like, oh, you're cursed, you have to give me money to remove the curse.
No.
Yeah. No. Yeah, I would ask to go home, and I'd be like, well, no, I need to go think this over, and then I'd never come back, or go to another reader and see what they say.
Yeah. Get a second opinion.
Yes.
That's really good for a lot of things in life.
Oh, definitely.
Even going to the mechanic. You need this on your car. Okay, I'll ask my real mechanic, or another mechanic, or somebody I know who is a mechanic who's not going to lie to me.
I had somebody say that to me. I couldn't believe it. I went to this oil change place with it was my boss's car at the time. This was a long time ago. This was 15 years ago. And I got to get a car I had to get the oil changed, and the guy's telling me, he's like, oh, well, this filter needs to be changed, and if you don't get it changed, your car's not going to be drivable. It's going to be illegal for you to drive your car. And I'm like, huh, that's strange. So I went to my mechanic and asked him, and he just looked at me and he's like, there is not a filter on your car that if it needed to be changed would make your car undrivable. He's like, that's a lie.
Yes. So getting a second opinion is always good. Don't just take one person's word for it. Do your research, educate yourself.
Yes, exactly. And find somebody that you trust, and that'll give you an honest opinion.
And also always trust yourself.
Yes.
Something doesn't feel right.
Something doesn't feel right. Yeah. Like even if you're told you have to work with a specific deity, or you have to, like a lot of people say that, oh, this person told me I have to work with this deity. I have to work with them. If you don't feel it, if it doesn't feel right to you, you don't have to do it. You don't have to do it. Your opinion matters on this path. Your perspective matters on this path, and your feelings matter on this path.
Plus, this is your life here. This is the only life you're going to have as this person, whether you believe in reincarnation or not. What do you want to spend your time doing? Do you want to listen to a bunch of other people tell you what you have to do? I sure don't.
No.
So, yeah.
You don't.
No, I don't like listening at all.
You don't even listen to me sometimes.
If it's logical and it makes sense, I'll listen.
Sometimes.
Well, again, if it's logical and it makes sense.
Sometimes you come back and you're like, okay, you were right.
Sometimes, yeah. Sometimes I don't listen at all. And then I find out later. I'm like, okay.
Yes.
ᴘᴏᴜ was right, or the demons were right, because I don't always listen to them either. But yeah.
But I do the same thing sometimes. So
I think everybody does it. I think it's part of being alive.
I sometimes don't listen. We're both stubborn.
Yes.
We're Scorpios in an area. What
It sounds like a dessert.
What I messed yours up too, didn't I?
Scorpios.
We are a Scorpius. We're a Scorpio and an Aries. So we are a duo of trouble and the definition of stubborn.
Yes, so back to callings again, because we keep going off topic.
It's okay, we're having fun.
Yes.
So if you have a calling, what do you do? How do you explore that calling? What you want to do with the calling is, once you've confirmed that, yes, you want to go through with this, yes, this feels right, yes, it's validated with you, what you want to do is you want to start reaching out to that deity. You want to start reaching out and connecting. So I would build them an altar. So this is where the research comes in. learning about them, learning about what they like, learning about what colors are associated with them, but also trusting yourself and what colors you feel aligns with them. Like I use a lot of golds for Mammon, but purple is just as good a color. Purple means royalty. It means regality. So some people would use purple. Some people would find, purple, amethyst, that. I use a citrine carnelian and a lot of golds because my connection with him is gold. It's all gold. He wants all the gold. He actually has gold, real gold in his altar. So figure out your connection to that deity. What colors align with them? What candles, what scents, what crystals, what objects make you think of them? What objects resonate with them? Set up an altar which feels like them, which is a space which feels like them. This becomes a space where you can connect with them and work with them. You can reach out to them, you can receive guidance and wisdom from them, and you can start to figure out why you have that calling, why you are connected to them, why they are reaching out to you. You might be surprised. And whatever comes up, trust it. Trust what you're getting. Trust what comes up. A lot of people have these intuitions. They have these insights, but they shut them down. They don't believe them. It's like, oh, well, how could this be? How could this actually be? It's important, though, for you to start to trust yourself. I always say with spirituality and with psychic senses, allow the energy to flow because you're getting something. You are receiving stimulus, whether it's coming from something internal inside your mind or external, a companion or deity, or from above, your higher self, divinity, the divine essence, the darkness. It's coming from somewhere. And by shutting one of them down, you start to shut them all down. And you don't learn how to distinguish which one is coming from where. So whatever you start to get when connecting with this deity, run with it. See where it goes. See what comes from it. See how it evolves in you. Ask yourself, does this make sense? Does this work? Does this align? Does this feel right? Explore it. And don't be afraid to be wrong. I get things wrong sometimes. And when I do, it's like, oh, okay, well, that was wrong. But usually when I get something wrong, it's because it's leading me to something else. It's leading me to the truth. It's leading me to the true aspect of what it is I'm supposed to uncover. So even if you get something wrong, it might just be the stepping stool you need to figure out what's right. So we're so conditioned to worry about being perfect and worry about being wrong and this and that. And da, 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 da. We are so conditioned, and it's terrible because it blocks us. It blocks us from our intuition. It blocks us from our guidance, and it blocks us from our inability to receive knowledge and wisdom and to trust what we receive. So don't worry about being wrong. Don't worry about it.
The other thing is you'll learn more from being wrong than you will from getting it right. Because if you stop thinking of things being wrong as a negative thing and start seeing it as feedback, that's a much healthier way of looking at things. It's like when you're driving a car. If you drive into a wall, that's really extreme. But obviously you don't want to drive. It's not violent. You're going slowly. Slowly you kind of like bump into a wall. Or, okay, driving through cones. If you hit the cone, you know you're too far to the right or the left or whatever. So it's like feedback instead of being like, oh God, I hit the cone, it's the end of the world. It's like, no, you just correct your course a little bit. Take it as feedback, not as I'm wrong and it's the end of the world.
Yeah, this is a course correction. It's just something that you need to do. It's a learning experience. If we took more of these lessons as actual learning experiences instead of, oh, you failed, you're bad, you're wrong, things would be a lot better because everything is just a learning experience. Everything is just us figuring it out. I have known people that have failed and flunked out of high school who have lived highly successful lives. They've gone on to be some of the most successful people because they never let anybody tell them they were a failure. They never let anybody tell them they couldn't do this. They just kept going. Didn't matter. Okay, yeah, I failed a standardized test. Whoop-de-doo.
The school system in general is not really, it's more based off of conformity than it is on actually measuring skills, because I've met people that are absolutely brilliant who did terrible at school, and I'm like, you are so intelligent, and they don't think they're smart because they failed school. And it's like, do you even listen to yourself speak though? Like, so much, you're so brilliant.
Why, thank you.
Yeah, well, you're one of those people. How many times you're like, oh, well, this, that. It's like, I didn't do well in school. It's like, yeah, but you're so smart. Like, how do you not see this? But yeah, it's what you're told. You're told you're not good at this, you're not good at that. And then you believe it, even though like the evidence is in completely opposite direction.
I was really good at school until grade 12. And then, I don't know, my brain just flipped. And suddenly I became really good at art. I became really good at public speaking too, which was weird for me because before that I could not. No, I'm not kidding. I would get up there and I would stutter. I would shake. I couldn't hold a conversation. I couldn't talk. I'd look at my notes and I'd just be so scared. And if I didn't have it written in front of me, I could not improvise. Like right now, I can have a conversation. I can say things. I couldn't do that before. But in grade 12, my brain just flipped. So yes, if your brain flips and suddenly you're really good at something, don't worry about it. You'll be fine. I was freaked out when it happened to me because I failed all the well, I didn't fail. I just did not do as well as I normally did in all the classes that I normally used to get straight A's in. And it was just my brain and my energies telling me that I was meant for a different path. I guess you could call it a calling, a life calling.
Oh,
yes.
Brought that full circle.
I did. It was a life calling to pursue a path of walking with demons and exploring spirituality, because I became really artistic, really creative, and really good at spirituality. Whereas before I was very logical, very scientific, and very, very, very heavy into the sciences and maths.
Which makes me think of something, because we told people to explore their callings, in some cases decide if they want to pursue them, but the calling that's really meant for you will not pass you by.
No, it won't.
It will come back again and again and again, and it will not stop bothering you until you actually take action on it.
Yes.
And then when you do, you'll notice that your life is much better. It'll feel like it's flowing in the direction it needs to go in. And you'll also have that feeling, like that core feeling of, this is what I should be doing, or this is who I need to connect with. And really, yeah, that's the really important part, is trusting yourself.
Yes. Trusting yourself. That's what it comes down to. With callings, with anything, is trusting yourself. It's the core of spirituality. If I could sum it up in a single sentence, I would say spirituality is about learning to trust yourself. It is about learning to trust yourself when the world has consistently told you that you are wrong and that your beliefs and views are not accurate. Spirituality is reclaiming that power and learning to trust yourself, learning to trust what you get, and learning to trust your power. There has been a whole thing in the past of stripping people of their power, stripping people of their spiritual connection, any spiritual connection that wasn't approved. Like there were certain spiritual connections that were approved, but spiritual connections, I guess that would be more religious connections.
You're like reading my mind. I'm like, this is my experience with religion. I know some people love religion, and if that works for you, that's great. My experience with religion was just everybody trying to crush me to fit into what was appropriate and what was right, and to do what I'm supposed to do, which doesn't work for me. So yeah.
And like there were times where, like, to be openly a witch, to be openly practicing any form of witchcraft and spirituality, it was illegal. It was not acceptable. Like there were times in the past you could be killed for it. You would actually be like tortured and burned for witchcraft. You were burned for your spiritual practices. It's scary to think about that.
It's still like that sometimes now in places.
Oh yes. Yeah. So we have, as a society, as a people, as a species, we have all of this past trauma of being told that we are wrong, being told that our view is not accurate, being told that we must look up to an authority figure who will guide us and advise us and tell us what is right from wrong, instead of listening to ourselves, instead of listening to our truth, instead of listening to what actually calls to our heart. And this is the biggest problem, I think, with the world right now. The biggest problem is that we were basically conditioned and taught for thousands of years, you don't listen to yourself. No, you're wrong. You've got sin, or you've got, something evil inside of you that is going to lead you astray, and you must surrender your authority and surrender your view to a higher power which will guide you, which will direct you. And It has to be this approved higher power. Can't be any other higher power. Can't be any other path. Yes,
one, and
only
everybody
one.
else is a liar,
Yes.
and they're trying to lead you astray.
There are 5,000 gods, 5,000 plus gods on this world, but only one is right.
Just
only one.
Sounds like narcissism.
The correct path is Buddhism. There's a secret of the universe. Yeah.
I feel like Buddhism doesn't do that though. Buddhism's actually really cool.
Oh no. I'm just saying, like, we get to the end.
I know you get to the end and what's the right way.
I just picked one. I just picked one. Yes. No, a lot of them, like that whole notion of there's only one religious path, there's only one spiritual path, and all other paths are wrong. All other ways of connecting with demons are wrong. We still see remnants of this, even in the magical communities. Oh, you must do it this way or it's wrong. You can't listen to yourself. You must do it this way. If you don't do it this way, if you don't follow this, it's wrong. The main thing is, are you getting results? That's the main thing. Are you getting results?
Is it working?
Is it working for you? If it's working for you, fantastic. Don't let anybody else tell you what you're doing is wrong. If you want to tweak some things, go talk to people, ask for some, ask for input and guidance, but don't let them be like, that's wrong. No, you're not working with demons. I can't even tell you how I'm fake. The spiritual world I work with is fake. The demons I work with are fake. I've had people say, like, your imaginary friends aren't going to protect you from my wrath. It's been almost 365 days, still protected from this wrath that was supposed to meet me. I'm waiting. Yeah.
And here we are.
And here we are, exactly. If people start telling you that you're wrong, your callings are wrong, this is wrong, I would really question them and question their motives behind telling you that. It might be an insecurity in them. It is something that they have to deal with, though.
In a lot of cases. Sorry.
No, you go.
No, I was just going to say, in a lot of cases, when people start attacking you or criticizing you, they're actually speaking about themselves and projecting what's going on in them internally, because they can't accept it in themselves. So they project it onto you.
Yes, exactly. That exactly. They project it onto you, and they try to define you by their parameters. And people do that all the time, but it doesn't mean you have to listen to them, and it doesn't mean you should listen to them. So when you feel a calling to work with a specific deity or demon, follow it. Follow that calling. See where it takes you. See why that is coming up, and see if it's right for you. And if it is, reach out and connect with them. See where the connection goes. See what they have to share with you. See what they have to teach you. It could be the most impactful and amazing connection of your life. It could be something that changes the entire course of your life. And also listen to them. I have had so many people try to tell me my own lessons with Mammon. Completely different than what Mammon told me. I'm like, well, no, this. You need to listen to me because of this. And it's like, who are you?
Somebody with an ego.
Yes, ego.
Ego problem.
We will be doing an entire Delightfully Dark discussion on ego, as it's very important. It is very important to realize that some people are just operating from their ego, and that ego causes them to crush others. But we should probably end it here, because I think we've been talking for a while.
Yes.
And if you have a calling, follow it, go for it. If you're seeing a demon's name, if you're seeing something that reminds you of them, if you're seeing numbers, if you are getting signs in the physical world around you, trust it. Trust what you are getting. Trust your intuition. Follow that calling. See where it goes. Only you know the connection you have with that deity, and only you can unlock the secrets of that connection. Nobody else can tell you. Spirituality is a personal journey. People can help you. They can tell you what they see, but in the end, it comes down to your individual connection with that deity. So thank you so much, everybody, for joining us for this Delightfully Dark discussion. If you love our work and want to support our channel, please like this video, subscribe to our channel. We love having you on this journey.
Yes, thank you. And if you guys have any questions, just put them below. We will be trying to answer questions at the beginning of every video, except maybe when we do some special videos like interviews, which we have coming up as well.
We have a very special interview with a very special friend. So on next week's Delightfully Dark discussion, don't miss it, because it's an amazing, amazing and incredible journey we went on. And she is one who has been with us since
as long as I've been here. We both joined the same time.
Yes, and she's an incredible soul, a beautiful and amazing artist, and we are so excited for the interview with her. But until then, guys, I hope you have an amazing and demonically inspired week, and until next time, bye.